On this channel, we'd like to dive into the backstory of Call of Duty, and generally speaking, we like to dive into individual characters. Last week, we dove into Alex Mason. In the past, we dove into Bell, the new character in Black Ops Cold War. Today, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Today, we are going to be looking at a character and answering the question, who really are they? And this is an interesting character because it's actually what the entire game of Black Ops Cold War is about. And that, of course, is Perseus. Now, as it turns out, Perseus in Cold War actually goes way deeper than you may think. Perseus goes much further than just the KGB and the missions that are in the campaign. And I'm going to go as far as to say, in this video, I'm going to blow your mind with who Perseus is actually related to and working with. But there's also multiple steps to understanding who Perseus actually is. And the first part of it is actually looking at who Perseus is in real life. So the real life story of Perseus revolves around something called the Manhattan Project, something that you might be familiar with, but essentially this was something that took place during World War II, where the US alongside the UK and Canada decided to make essentially a nuclear project. The idea of this was to create a laboratory in New Mexico by the name of Los Alamos Laboratories, where they would test, design, and build nuclear bombs. This was led by a man named Robert Oppenheimer, and they got nuclear physicists from around the world to help them. This is where Perseus comes in. Perseus was not a soldier. He wasn't a really buff, secretive man. He was a physicist, and essentially in real life there are two ideas as to who Perseus could be. Keep in mind, to this day they still don't know who he is. The first person was named Philip Morrison. He was born in New Jersey, and he was a professor at MIT who worked under Robert Oppenheimer during the Manhattan Project. Now, it was said that he was a Soviet spy named Perseus, working for the Soviet Union and giving them information about the project, but nothing could ever be proved on this person named Philip Morrison. The second person we have is by the name of Theodore Holtzberg, or Theodore Hall for short. Now, I want you to remember the name Theodore and specifically the initials TH, as it's going to come into play later. However, what we know about Theodore Hall is he was literally a genius. He graduated high school at the age of 13 and got into Harvard by the age of 16. 2 years later, he graduated with a degree in physics, and a year later, he was working at the Manhattan Project towards the end of World War II. Now, in 1999, shortly after he died, it was confirmed that he leaked details and descriptions of the Fat Man plutonium bomb and several processes for purifying plutonium to the Soviets. That is right, it was confirmed that he was a Soviet spy. So he is actually the lead suspect for who Perseus is to this day. So we're not going to go through the whole story of hunting Perseus. We have many videos going over the whole Black Ops Cold War story. But by the end, Bell remembers his time in a meeting with Perseus. It is this older gentleman that you are seeing here who is obviously a part of the Russian army. And in fact, if we look at a later cutscene and look a little bit more specifically at what he is wearing, he appears to be an actual Russian general. Based off of the epaulets with the kind of leaves and the star in the middle with the red epaulet, that actually means that he's some sort of army general. Now, we don't know whether he was in the past or currently is at the point of taking this picture. However, this is actually not that important because as we find out in the evil ending, this is not Perseus. In fact, no one man is actually Perseus.
And to think, after all this time, they still believe I'm Perseus. As if Perseus could ever be an individual working alone. So American.
So in this ending, it's not canon, but what we find out is that Perseus is not just an individual soldier and an individual person doing all of these acts. It is a corporation or a group of people all working together for the sole purpose of taking down America, or taking down the West, if you will. So really the question we should be asking isn't who is Perseus, but rather who is in Perseus. Now, a bunch of the Perseus agents are incredibly obvious. Everyone sitting at the table in this cutscene here is obviously a member of Perseus. On the left, you have Anton Volkov, one of the people that you take down in the campaign. On top of this, you have Kasim Javadi, who is the very first person that you take down at the beginning of the campaign, who gives you the name of Arash Kadivar. Arash Kadivar is the one that you take down at the airstrip, and he is in charge of weapon smuggling, getting weapons in and out of areas to Perseus agents and Perseus soldiers. After this, you have Vladimir Rudnik. He is one of the people who is inside the KGB and getting information directly from the KGB and giving it to the various Perseus agents. And then finally, the last person you have here is by the name of Robert Aldrich. And this is a character who is in charge of recruiting people into Perseus. He is the one who knows all of the members inside, and that is why when you take him down in the campaign, it stops him from expanding the Perseus soldiers and the Perseus army. Now, there is one other person that we are introduced to in the